There's the full Sea Eagle readout for you. Eadie, Rebo, Bowstead, Close, Sigsworth, Thompson, Blake, Schubert, Cleal, Vorton, McCabe, Brown and Gerard. So the Eels come from their dressing room now. A new face of Chris Phelan. Defending premiers Parramatta, taken out by Stephen Edge. And the blue and gold goes up. The team is Lydiard, Hunt, Gross, Cronenella, Kenny, Sterling, Price, Sharp, Phelan, Mares, Edge and Bugden. Kevin Roberts with easily his biggest assignment this year. Very strong breeze blowing here at the cricket ground. It's coming from the northwest at around 22 k's, but it's blustering and it's reaching much higher levels than that at various intervals here at the cricket ground. There's the readout on what's happened with these two champion clubs over the last 3 years. Manly 22-8 and then a draw in 81. That, in fact, that 20-all result in 81 has got a lot of significance. That was the last match at Cumberland. 82, it was the Eels losing one there in the second round, and then, of course, 83, it's been all Parramatta. (1947) they entered the competition, and the Eagles have taken out 4 premierships: 72, 73, 76 and 78. Parramatta 2 premiership wins in 81, 82, looking for 3 in a row this year. So Jack Gibson has taken up his seat. And Bobby Fulton. The battle off the field, nearly as big as the one on field, as Schubert kicks off for Manly. Parramatta with first use of the breeze. It's coming across the ground into the scoreboard corner. And Paul Mears is the first man met by the Manly defence. This is Chris Phelan. Played just inside the Parramatta 22 as Price goes away from dummy half and Bugden reaches the 22 line. Cronin. McCabe going up and taking Cronin heavily. And a penalty goes to Parramatta. That's for 2 markers, not standing one behind the other. What do you imagine, Max, is going through the minds of the Manly players right at this very moment?
I certainly hope they're not as nervous as I am here, Ray. I'm full of nerves. I'm really looking forward to this game. They're 2 great football sides. Parramatta evidently want to run the ball a little bit. If I was them, I would be using this wind, kicking it downfield. It's unusual they're not doing that. Sterling, I thought, would be playing a big hand in the game. And a silly move there. You know, everyone knows that Kevin Roberts doesn't like anything in the play of the ball, so you've got to get away from there. You know, you can't give away penalties early in the game.
Max Krilich, former Manly and Australian captain with the 10 Sports commentary team through the big finals. And this is Ray Price, taken by Gerard and by Ray Brown, as there's a couple of decoys running, and here's Growth. But Brown and McCabe combined to put him down just a couple of metres on the Parramatta side of halfway. Big occasion for Paul Mears, the man at dummy half, and here's Sterling working with Cronin. But Sterling is tidied up by Cleal and Schubert. Cronin falls in for the kick, grubs it, and it finds touch about 10 metres on the Manly side of halfway. Scrum won by Manly. Alan Thompson open side, picking up Graham Eadie into the back line at the first opportunity. And the Parramatta defence was strong there with Price, Phelan and Ella. And now it's Vaughton. Tackled 10 metres short of halfway. Brown giving it to Gerard, who looked to pass it to Cleal, but Cleal was running in front of him. Minor grade results: thirds to Penrith over St George, a shock win 32-0. And Manly 2016 in reserve grade over South. Here's David Lydiard. Inside Thompson, taken by Blake. And Lydiard will play the ball, but I think Blake's being called out. He is, and he's called for the captain. Swinging arm in the tackle. Roberts is saying to Thompson, keep them down. You get him in check. I'll give him this warning. Phil Blake, certainly not a characteristic of the young man's game. Cronin from centre field, kicking towards the Blawongal stand touchline, finding it about 15 metres on Manly's side of halfway.
Yes, it's certainly not the way Bobby Fulton would have wanted to start the game either. I can remember back to that second round clash where I think Manly were down some 7-0 in the penalties, and they were also well behind on the scoreboard.
Bugden to play it. Edge passes to Sterling. Gross comes in from the blind wing, but he's met immediately by Jeff Gerard. Here's Price, now Sharp. Sharp's about 30 metres out from the line. Right in centre field. Now it's with Price. Now Cronin. Cronin taken by Cleal. The ball is loose. That could be 6 more. Price dives on it. Let's see what he says. No, he's called it a tackle and indicates 4 gone for Parramatta. Now it's with Mayers. Schubert takes him low. Head-on tackle. Good tackle by Schubert. Now 5 gone. Sterling is the player who will kick for Parramatta. There it is. Into the corner where Rebo is based. And he's taken by Brett Kenny and Ray Price. No marker, goes again. Now it's Cronin's turn to make the tackle with Mayers over the top. And Rebo is outside the 22 line. Paul McCabe playing in jumper number 11. And hit hard by 3 Parramatta tacklers. Ray Brown across the ground, picks up Vaughton. There's space on the right. That's where it's going. It's with Sigsworth. Outside the 45-metre line, kicks ahead nicely and finds touch. About 25 metres out from the Eels line.
We saw there
that
Manly are very prepared to spread the ball against Parramatta, and I'm sure that's what they'll try to do today right throughout this match. Move the ball out wide.
Yes, we also saw that Parramatta were allowing Manly plenty of latitude in that play the ball area. Stevie Mortimer hit back strongly in the second half last weekend in the semi-final, and they shouldn't be giving a man like Ray Brown that sort of latitude.
Sterling working it. Penalty to Manly. And it's against Sterling for his feed. You might have seen Kevin Roberts looking at the Manly hooker and giving the back-chatting indication to him. Ray Brown obviously had something to say, but the penalty had been given against Peter Sterling. So the differential for Graham Eadie will put Manly into a very strong attacking position just inside the Parramatta quarter. Taken by Brown, given immediately to Jeff Gerard. A former centre 3-quarter come forward with Parramatta. Paul Vaughton is met by Edge and Mayers. Bugden comes in to lend support. They're about 18 metres out. Across the ground and backwards comes Brown and gives it to Cleal. Cleal has got through the tackle of Ella, but he didn't beat Sterling as Manly switched the point of the attack back towards the Paddington Hill corner, and Gerard turns it inside to Schubert. It's coming back now. Thompson turning it inside to Blake, and Blake is met ball and all by Stephen Sharp. Played back again now for Brown to come across the paddock again. A floating pass. Oh, Kenny went for the intercept, and it's a knock on against Sigsworth, but Kenny, he left a huge gap in the Parramatta defensive line going for an intercept, and it could have easily seen Manly in for a 4-pointer.
Yes, well, Ray Brown's the sort of player that likes to run out of dummy half and throw long balls to players in gaps, but he's going to have to be very careful because there are players in this Parramatta side, such as Steve Ella and Brett Kenny, that sweat on intercepts.
This scrum going down in the M.A. Noble corner in front of the members. Won by Manly against the feed. Blake is taken by Sterling. Manly are 10 metres out from the Parramatta line. Rebo gives it to Schubert. Schubert goes towards the line. He's only 5 metres out. Second tackle for Manly. Ray Brown passes and Phil Blake is going very close to the line. He was held up by Steve Sharp. Plays it to Rebo. Rebo tries to bulldog across the line, but he's short only by about 6 inches. That's the 4th tackle for Manly, as a penalty will be given against Mayers. Mayers getting offside, and this will be a certain 2-pointer for the Manly side. Well, Paul Mayers undoubtedly getting himself offside in the play the ball. And Graham Eadie has a very simple shot. 10 metres out and adjacent to the left-hand upright as we look at them. Easily the biggest crowd of the semi-finals so far here at the SCG today. The hill fairly heavily accommodated there. It's probably a crowd in around the 32,000 mark if we can take a guide from yesterday's 27. The tenseness of Manly Parramatta clashes certainly a highlight of this atmosphere at the SCG.
Well, Peter Sterling told us this morning on 10 Sports Week that he approaches these games the same as a test match between Australia and England.
Well, Eadie has slightly hooked that. He's got the 2 points. And Manly lead Parramatta 2-0. 9 minutes gone, first half. Cronin to kick off. And there goes the Cronin kick now deep into the scoreboard corner where it's taken by Graham Eadie, who has Kerry Bowstead with him. First man up to make the tackle was fullback David Lydiard. Here's Bowstead. Taken by Sharp, Mayers and Edge. Brown. Blindside for Sixworth. Bugden going in with the shoulder. Sharp helping. Now it's with Thompson, and this is Cleal. Blake gets his kick in. It's much too big. And a scrum to go down inside the Manly 22. Already we've seen the difference in this match compared with the 2 clashes in the Winfield Cup. Parramatta got away to a brilliant start in both those encounters. It's out to Ella, now to Cronin, the dummy. Back inside goes Cronin, picks up Price, crosses the 22, taken by Thompson. Thompson high, Thompson low, and Vorton high. Sterling gives it to Chris Phelan. Phelan stands in the tackle, gives it across to Steve Sharp. Sharp's about 15 metres out. Picks up Peter Sterling, juggles it for a couple of strides. Eadie comes across and takes him heavily. Sterling playing at 10 metres out. From dummy half goes Neil Hunt, and he's held. He gets a pass back and is taken by Brett Kenny. Kenny is taken by Blake and Cleal. Still 10 metres out from the Manly line. Ray Price. Price within about 6 or 7 metres. Across to Sharp. Sharp back up the centre for Paul Mayers. Mayers is going very strongly for the line. Pulled down a metre out. 4 tackles gone against the Parramatta side. Played back to Steve Edge. Passed out to Sterling, a little grub through, and it's gone in touch in goal.
And Manly Warringah can be very thankful that they've got Graham Eadie as fullback after that set of tackles. He made 3 or 4 critical tackles then for Manly Warringah, while Parramatta were exerting a great deal of pressure.
So back for the place kick at the centre of the 22, and Gerard hits it up. Tackled on the 32-metre line for Brown to turn it back inside, and Vorton is met up the centre by Price, getting his shoulder underneath the ribcage and driving. Bugden and Edge coming in to clean up with Price, and here it is now with Schubert, and Schubert is met by Mayers and Sharp, and already Sharp's tackle count must be to the double figures. He's been involved in a lot of first up tackles, and here's Cleal nicely taken out there by the much smaller Steve Eller. Away from dummy half goes Close. He got rid of Sterling, and it was up to Edge and Phelan to make the tackle on the former Queensland centre. Manly's about 15 metres from the halfway as Blake puts the kick up into the teeth of the breeze, and back there forward is David Lydiard. Growth goes back to support the youngster. He comes outside the 22 and comes to Rebo, who he got around at Brookvale in the first round, and I guess that would have been uppermost in Rebo's mind when Lydiard came at him then. Away goes Eric Growth, who scored that super try here last Sunday, but he's met by Brown and Sigsworth, as if to say, hang on a moment, you're not going too far today. Out it goes to Ray Price now, and Price goes diagonal across the ground before Paul McCabe hitches a ride for a couple of strides. Play is 10 metres on the Parramatta side of halfway. Played back to Mayers, and there was a knock-on from Mayers, so he's had an unhappy start to the game. He got offside and conceded the 2 points, and a knock-on there at the dummy half. Well, I must say he went within 6 inches of scoring a try too. Manly winning the scrum, and it's back to Graham Eadie, and Eadie runs straight into Eller, and Cronin have to hold the champion Manly fullback as Sigsworth goes from dummy half, and he runs into Sharp and Mayers together with Cronin. And again it's Brown at dummy half, where you'll find him based all day, and here's Schubert beating Price, or not quite, in fact Price felled him and Cronin secured the tackle as it goes to Blake, and now to Thompson, a cutout pass and a good one to Close, and Close is taken around the legs by Kenny, and Bugden came over the top and made a heavy hit. Out it goes to Sigsworth, but he's run back into the waiting arms of Kenny, and Sterling was around the legs, and that's 5 tackles gone for Manly. Blake will put this up, I would think. He's back about 35 metres out. No, there's the variation. It's gone. Oh, charged down by Sterling. I don't have to tell you about that, do I? Particularly Canterbury supporters. So it's into touch, and a scrum to go down about 12 metres on the Parramatta side of halfway.
But once again, in that set of 6 tackles, we saw the willingness of the Manly Warringah players to spread the ball out wide against Parramatta.
So the scrum penalty has gone to Parramatta, and that's against Manly for forcing the scrum off the mark and having a tendency to screw the scrum at the same time. And Cronin will kick for touch with the penalty readout at 3-2 Parramatta's way. Cronin sends that off towards the scoreboard, and it's a good kick by Cronin, considering he was only about 10 metres in from touch. He's found the line 30 metres out from Manly's try line. Here's Hunt going right across the ground and makes himself for an easy tackle, and McCabe accepts that. It's played by Hunt, and it's come from Sterling to Price and to Kenny, and now Cronin calls him around him, and Kenny backs him up, and then it's gone to Growth, and Growth, he's running strongly, Growth, but Alan Thompson and John Rebo managed to bring him down on the Manly 22 line. It's out to Price. Price sees an opening, tries to get through it, but Paul Vaughton closes that gap. And it's played by Ray Price. Back to Paul Mayers. Back blindside for Cronin. Cronin cuts out Kenny. The pass goes over the touchline, and a scrum will go down just inside the Manly 22 line. Watching the major semi-final between Manly and Parramatta, my co-commentators Graham Hughes, Bill Anderson and Max Krilich. Blake a run around, it's come down, it's gone backwards, and Sigsworth dives on it.
Well, in the first 2 rounds of the competition proper, we saw that the critical time for Manly Warringah was the first 20 minutes, where Parramatta got right over the top of them. Well, Manly have been able to weather that storm, and now that the game's evened itself out, they've got the opportunity to start to attack.
Close is held by Edge, and the ball played back, and Cleal takes off from dummy half, beats Edge, beats Price, beats Cronin, comes to Kenny, stands in Kenny's tackle. Kenny's hanging on, he's beaten him eventually, and Steve Sharp has to come across to make the tackle. But that was a very strong run by Noel Cleal, and some fairly dusty defence from Parramatta. And the long ball out to Graham Eadie. Eadie's gone inside the 32. Sigsworth kicks ahead for Blake. This is going to be a try. Oh, yes! Is it what? That's a superb Manly try. That had professionalism written right across it. Graham Eadie, Phil Sigsworth and Phil Blake, an absolutely superb rugby league try. Phil Blake passed to Paul Vaughton, then it was to Ray Brown. That was a great pass by Brown, and then Eadie stormed down the touchline, infielder to Sigsworth, and then the kick ahead. It couldn't have been more delightful for Philip Blake to plunge in and pick up the first try of this big semi-final.
What a magnificent long ball from Ray Brown to pick up Eadie. He looks infield here, finds Sigsworth. I thought Sigsworth had erred there. He had Phil Blake inside. The pass was on, the try would have been under the post, but the luck of the bounce did favour Manly.
27th try in premiership matches for that young fellow, Phil Blake. And Graham Eadie again has a simple kick. He's only about 1.5 meters to the left of the mound that he used previously. Brett Kenny in need of a new pair of shorts. As Graham Eadie again hooks it, and he gets the 2 points, but that's 2 kicks he's had from almost the same position, and they haven't been exactly as nice as Graham would have liked them. 8-0 in favour of Manly.
Just as well they weren't any further out, or they would have missed.
Cronin using the shallow restart, and Cleal. Oh, he's busted them immediately. He's away from Sharp, taken by Sterling and Hunt, just outside the Parramatta 22. Big run by Cleal, out from Vaughton to Gerard, on to Thompson, slick passing to Sigsworth, on to Blake, inside to Schubert. Schubert gallops up the centre, taken by Bugden on the Parramatta 22 line.
Aren't they keen to spread the ball against Parramatta? And here they go again. Great opportunity on the right-hand side.
Thompson dummies to Vaughton, gives it to McCabe. Infield comes Bowstead. He's got the pass to Vaughton. Manly really throwing it around. Brown across to Rebo. Rebo, short ball to Sigsworth. Gets rid of Kenny, stands in edge, gets it to Blake, and Blake is held 10 metres out. But the Eagles are really hot at the moment. Back to Gerard. Out it goes to Sigsworth. Sigsworth shapes to kick and then tries to step. But he's tackled 10 metres from the Parramatta line. This is Ray Brown. Allowed to run, and it's gone across to Close. And Close is taken about 11 metres out on tackle number 5. From McCabe to Thompson. Up goes the bomb. A test for David Lydiard. He's put it down, and that could be a Manly penalty. It is. It came off one Parramatta player, back to one who was offside. Penalty Manly, right in front. Well, Lydiard goes up. You'll see Ray Price gets involved here. And it came off Price, and Lydiard then picked it up. No doubts. Correct ruling by referee Kevin Roberts. Graham Eadie must think this is a picnic for him as far as goal kicking is concerned. There's the other 2 mounds that he's already used. They were 10 metres out and almost in line with the uprights, and this one is on the same line and in line with the other upright, as that wide shot shows. So Manly leading by 8 points to 0, and it'll be 10-0 after Graham kicks this one. 2 out of 2. Strikes it more sweetly this time, and Manly lead Parramatta by 10 points to 0. face there of Bobby Fulton that never shows very much emotion, but the fellow sitting on his immediate right is wearing a very big smile, Ken Arthurson, and I guess one of our co-commentators is smiling at the moment too, Max Krilich.
I've got a very big smile on my face at the moment. Look, very pleased with Big Noel Cleel's game at the moment. He's made 2 tremendous breaks, and with Ray Brown controlling play around the rucks magnificently, and young Philip Blake, he's really involved in the game so early. In fact, he's really come out of his shoulder today. He's having an excellent game.
Max, Jack Gibson's fears about Parramatta's defence being a problem. Chris Phelan's in the side to try and solve that solution, but he must be a very concerned man at the moment.
Well, I think they should be. They're not putting the Manly player with the ball to the ground. They're being allowed to play Parramatta-style football, and it's great to see being a Manly person, actually.
Here's Cronin now, pulled to ground about 5 metres into Manly's area. Dummy half is Steve Ella, and Ella is pursued and tackled by Thompson and Gerard. Playing it back to Edge, it's gone over to Sterling and now to Phelan, and Phelan ran into the waiting shoulder of Paul McCabe.
Yes, that was a good tackle by McCabe, and he's adjusted fairly well to the front row. It's a difficult job to come from being a back row forward into the front row, where you've got a lot of work to do in scrums, and that saps a lot of your energy, but he's handling the role and handling it well. That
penalty has been given again for the same reason. The markers not standing one behind the other and in line with the man playing the ball. Cronin's going to take the shot. Keep in mind that Parramatta's got this breeze, which is a diagonal breeze from approximately behind the member stand and blowing into the scoreboard corner, and it's gusting from around 22 k's. It got up to about 43 k's during reserve grade. Parramatta's got the use of that, and they're trailing 10-0, so it's a pretty forlorn hope, I would think, from a Parramatta angle at this very early stage, 20 minutes gone. Here's the head-on shot of Michael Cronin. The sight he's getting. Cronin's kick is high, but he's hooked it. It's no goal. Eadie's underneath it. Coming out from the in goal is Graham Eadie. Bowstead in support, and Cronin has to chase Bowstead, but misses him. And Bowstead is left for Paul Mayers to take. Cleo on his own quarter. Schubert. Close. Cronin across with Ella. There's the familiar frame of Les Boyd carrying the water for the Manly side. Here's the stretch to the right, and the pass from Vaughton was too far in front of Eadie. Bowstead did well to clean up.
Manly are working to a very good pattern here. They're taking play to one side of the field and getting Parramatta forwards caught out wide in the back line, such as we saw Canterbury Bankstown do, spreading the ball very wide on a stretch, then back to that side and finding them out of position.
A midfield bomb from Phil Blake, and Lydiard's underneath it. Oh, gee, you know, I've made the comment 100 times, I guess. The vulnerability of Parramatta to the high ball, there doesn't seem to be any talking. It's with Brown, now Sigsworth, inside 22.
Lydiard never had the support then that he would have liked on that bomb. It's important that other players get there and protect their fullback when the ball's put in the air.
Now it's McCabe. Rebo heading into that corner.
Yeah, dangerous from dummy half. Rebo likes to get to dummy half and take off out of there. Such a big, strong man. He's very hard to stop.
Phil Blake to Thompson, the run around back to Blake, and the long ball beautifully fired to Close, and Close is brought down just inside the Parramatta 22 line.
Now we can see Sterling's gone to fullback to take this bomb.
Attempted drop goal by Alan Thompson. Looks good from here. He's picked up the 1 point, Alan Thompson.
And they're very good tactics by Manly Warringah. They had a 10-0 lead, and now they've just got that extra little bit of breathing space with that extra point. Many times we've said the importance of a field goal at any stage of the match.
Well, that was a sweet kick from Alan Thompson from dummy half. So easy. It's Manly leading Parramatta by 11 points to 0.
Here's another kick-off to Parramatta, and the Manly players have got to stay very alert on these kick-offs. Parramatta have got a variety of kick-offs, such as that one. That's the bouncy kick-off, but they use a long kick-off, a chip kick-off, and so on. And I think they've recovered possession from that one.
They certainly have, with Ray Price playing it on the 32-metre line. This is Phelan. taken by Sigsworth and Vaughton. And I can see Price limping away after playing the ball. He's not 100%, and Sharp is tackled now on the quarter. There's a close-up of Price in the back play. And Sharp getting up to play it. He took a knock on the forehead, and he got up and bared his teeth at one of his opponents. Price still limping, and a penalty to Parramatta right in front. That's against the marker for interfering with the man trying to play the ball, and this is 22 metres out right in front for Cronin. This was the tackle that saw Mayers endeavour to get up and play the ball, and Roberts penalising Phil Sigsworth for not allowing that play the ball to happen freely. Cronin from right in front, and he's got this one, so it's Manly leading Parramatta now by 11 points to 2. Schubert kicking off for Manly. Bouncing for David Lydiard. And McCabe going up and making another first up tackle. Dummy half Growth to Price, the run around for Growth, and the big man very quickly tidied up by Schubert and Brown. Now it's Bugden turning it back up the centre for Sharp, and Sharp is tackled just outside the 22 by Brown and Vaughton. This is Mayers, and he's deciding to go for a run himself before getting a pass away to Sterling, and then Edge, coming from an onside position, picked it up, and so the referee is going to play the knock-on.
We've already made mention of the Manly Warringah attack, spreading the ball out wide, and they're backing one another up and playing very well in attack, but I think we should also give credit to their defence. Their defence today is very strong, got a lot of sting in it.
Yes, it's quite obvious that the last fortnight off certainly hasn't done them any harm.
25 minutes gone and one try, and it was an absolute beauty. And there's a scrum win against the feed for Parramatta, which is a pretty good trick when Alan Thompson's feeding the scrum, because there's none better as Stephen Ella tries to make the split. But he's picked up in covered defence by Schubert. Now Cronin passes to Sterling, and Sterling turns it inside for Mayers, and Mayers is tackled by Vaughton and Gerard. Mayers plays it back, and Edge passes to Price, who gives it to Cronin, out to Kenny. Kenny's got Lydiard with him, but that's a good tackle by Sigsworth, ball and all. Now Lydiard, Sterling. Sterling gets that kick in. It's going over towards that touchline, and he's found it with a magnificent kick. That's a brilliant kick by Peter Sterling, finding touch 12 metres out from the Manly line. A tactic that Max Krilich was certain Parramatta would use many times in the first half, with the breeze blowing into that corner today.
Well, it was a tactic that paid dividends for them in the first two rounds, but I just don't feel they've had enough possession in this game to be able to kick the ball as much as they would have liked.
Thompson to feed it again, and this time it's won by Manly. Thompson is up the blind side. Sterling's got him, and Thompson plays it, and that's 6 more tackles as Price strikes for it. There's a bit of a scuffle up in the back between Price and Thompson. And it's McCabe who's going to play it. A touch judge came in to separate the two players as Gerard plays it. It's gone now to Cleal. Cleal, got rid of Edge very easily. He ran into some heavy traffic then, though.
Having a very strong game, Noel Cleal, and he's a difficult customer to put to the ground when he's allowed to wind up.
He's slotted into the second row position beautifully for Bob Fulton, and now it's with McCabe, and McCabe, 4 Parramatta tacklers there. Edge, Sharp, Bugden and Mayers. Played back to Brown. It's with Blake, and Blake puts the chip over now, but Lydiard came up from a deep position to take that ball, and now he's showing some speed, and here's Kenny. Oh, Kenny's into a very big gap and gone inside 32. Where's Growth, he's saying? Oh, and coming across Graham Eadie. Eadie taking him into touch. I do tend to think Brett Kenny was expecting Growth to come inside him much earlier. You can see him, he was looking, and he looked again, Kenny, as if to say, where the hell are you, Eric?
And I was also expecting a penalty from this incident.
Yeah, pretty high tackle from Graham Eadie. I just saw Growth as Kenny went into touch. He was inside him, but it was all too late, and he wasn't going to give himself ever very much territory to work in. Now, Kenny has found himself those new shorts, and that discussion that you saw take place was the Price-Thompson altercation. This scrum is 15 metres out from the Manly line. Fed by Thompson and at the same time. In again and won by Manly. Thompson's in possession, taken by Sterling. Rebo. I saw some rather dubious scrum feeds yesterday, and I can assure you there's been a couple in this match already today. Allowed to go. Ball played by Ian Schubert. And this is Gerard. Don't take me the wrong way, but providing it's a consistent view on the respective scrum feeds, then I don't think anybody in rugby league really cares. Cleal to Gerard now.
That was a good pass by Noel Cleal also. Not only is he a good ball runner, he's the sort of player that can get a pass away if he's not put down effectively.
Now Blake gets a kick in. That might be too big. No, it's not. It's taken a divot just inside the touchline, and a scrum will go down on the Parramatta 22. Manly 11, Parramatta 2. Sterling feeds, that went straight through.
Not a good advertisement for a scrum, that one, was it?
No, we'll edit that one out, I think. Penalty to Parramatta. That's against Manly for collapsing the scrum. Differential penalty taken by Parramatta, and finding touch about 3 metres on their side of the halfway. Sterling giving it to Edge, and now to Bugden. Bugden gets a pass away. It's finished up with Stephen Edge, but I think Stephen got the shock of his life as Lydiard goes across the ground. They've lost territory. Lydiard still fighting there with Thompson. Eventually he's tackled back on the Parramatta 32. They actually lost 10 metres in the play as Ella calls Growth inside. He gets rid of Sigsworth, and now they converge on Growth, and they are really sweating on the big kangaroo winger. Sterling to Mayers. Mayers taken by Fortin, Gerard and Rebo. 8 minutes out from the break. Sterling around the back of field. Oh, gee, that was a solid tackle from McCabe.
Tremendous tackle by McCabe there. Ball and all tackle. Really had Jeff Bugden shaking.
Kenny cuts out Mayers. It finishes up with Ella. And he's lost it, Ella. And it'll be interesting to see what happens here. He's given the penalty for stealing the ball. Penalty given to Parramatta. Stealing the ball is the ruling. And this was the tackle. It's already been made as the ball comes out there. It's impossible to tell what happened, whether a Manly player felt he was in possession or whether, in fact, it could have been a bit of gamesmanship. There's always a couple of question marks. However, the penalty's been given, and this is Phelan, who's midway between the 22 and halfway on the Manly end of the ground. Cross now to Sterling and now to Growth, and Growth is taken nicely by Vorton. Close came over the top. Price keeps that wrap up. No, he doesn't. He dummies to it and goes himself, and that's a good gain by Price. Edge was the only player, though, backing up, and Price plays it on the Manly 22. Kenny falls in on the blind side, gives it to Cronin. Cronin's tackled, no gain in ground.
I was surprised at the yardage that Ray Price was able to make then running from dummy half. Parramatta are the style of team that do like to work from dummy half and around the forwards, and one would have thought that Manly would have nullified that play.
Phelan now to play it on number 5. Out to Edge, and here's Sterling, and there's the bomb from Sterling after the run around, and nicely taken, Kerry Bowstead. Good take by Bowie.
Bowstead's a winger's winger. He's a very complete player. He's a sound defender. He backs up breaks. He's able to take bombs. There's just nothing he can't do as a winger.
Yes, for a little man, he got up remarkably high.
Yes, Kerry Bowstead. And it's Manly in possession just outside their 22. Brown across the face of Cleal, taken on the bounce by Schubert. Schubert's lost it, picked up by Growth. He's lost it, and it'll be a scrum. 32 metres out from the Manly line. Be interesting to see who comes up with the feed here.
Well, it'd have to be a Manly feed the way he's ruled that.
Well, I'm not so sure that one of the Manly players didn't get a hand to it. Watch this. Yes, John Rebo, I thought, might have got a hand to it, but it could have been Eric. I'm not going to argue about it. Manly's got the feed, though, Graham. You're quite right, and it's out to Parramatta. And again a scrum one against the feed, and they work the run around out wide, and Ella comes back into the centre of the ground. He's tackled just outside the 22.
That was a very important scrum win against the feed for Parramatta. We're now getting towards that danger zone, that last 5 or 6 minutes before half-time when a lot of points are scored, and if Parramatta are going to win this...
Kenny! He's nearly got a score! He stands Edie up and he's in! Brett Kenny scores for Parramatta 6 minutes from half-time.
As I was saying, if Parramatta are going to win this game, they've got to score just before half-time.
11 points to 6. Price was the dummy half. Cronin had to lean low to pick it up. Sterling, Lydiard, Kenny. And he punched it up into that Manly defence that has so often presented itself as being a touch vulnerable for players like Kenny and Ella to puncture it and see it on the head-on, Graham Hughes.
Yes, well, they've hit back very strongly. A great bust there from Brett Kenny, but as is so often the case, the man forgotten in this movement, Stephen Edge. He did it all and won the scrum against the feed.
Cronin, low kick, hits the upright, bounces away, no goal, and so Manly just in front of half-time lead Parramatta by 11 points to 6. And those goals kicked by Graham Eadie and that drop goal by Alan Thompson taking on significant importance at this stage. 5 points the diff. 1 try apiece. Loser of this match to meet Canterbury Bankstown in the final next Sunday. Lydiard, Growth across the ground. Schubert and Brown combined to stop him. And Growth plays it on the 22 line. Back to Cronin. Price running. Oh, McCabe, that was a bone-shattering tackle. He's made several of them, Paul McCabe. They've been absolutely perfect tackles. Now it's Edge. Price again. Taken by Vorton, just outside the 32. They've been super tackles by McCabe, Graham.
Yes, he's a terrific head-on tackler. He lines his man up, and if that man fails to move either side, well, that's the danger zone.
You think there might be a few fellows developing a sidestep, surely?
It could well be.
Chris Phelan playing it on the halfway line for Michael Cronin to pass to Peter Sterling. Sterling taken by Sigsworth, throws the pass in desperation. Bugden's come up with it, given it to Price. Price puts the kick over the top. The bounce has been beautiful for Stephen Ella. Now Brett Kenny, now Lydiard. Oh, David Lydiard. If he could have, I'm sure he would have gone infield. Oh, that looked to me like a try gone begging. I'm not sure how much space Lydiard actually had.
Well, there's plenty of support inside here. That replay there hasn't shown it, but Brett Kenny on that occasion had 2 and 3 men inside.
Well, I'm sure he was looking for Lydiard to go back in field and to take the pass.
So Thompson feeding this scrum just inside the Manly 22.
It's amazing how the game's turned around now that Parramatta have been able to get some possession.
Feet across is the order by Kevin Roberts against Stephen Edge, and Manly get the differential.
Of course, Manly were looking very, very sharp in this first 20 minutes of the match, but for a side who was playing their first game in a fortnight, this is going to be the danger zone. 5 minutes before half-time and probably the last 10 to 15 minutes in the second half.
Schubert taken by Sterling, gets a pass back to Brown. There's a stretch onto the right. Eadie comes in, gets inside Cronin, gives it to Close tackled by Kenny 32 metres out. And here's Alan Thompson giving it to Jeff Gerard. He runs into Sharp and Phelan. Brown, Thompson, Schubert, Sigsworth into an opening, but it's been closed by Sterling and Mears. The big youngster from Parramatta covers a lot of ground. Mears in defence. Out to Thompson, now to McCabe, and now to Eadie. Gets a pass to Close. Close is high flying up to the 32. That's a great tackle by David Lydiard. Now it's with McCabe across to Thompson. Thompson holds it up and gives it to Cleal, and Cleal has taken the tackle. Blake tried to kick, Sterling picks it up, and Sterling's in possession for Parramatta.
And once again, it was out wide that Manly were able to make that break against Parramatta. They're really looking to stretch this Parramatta side.
Neil Hunt now. Just inside the quarter. What are you feeling now, Max Krilich?
Well, I just heard someone say something about out wide. That's the place to beat this Parramatta machine. I think they're a little bit rattled at the moment, although Manly has given them 4 penalties around the ruck area. They've got to stop doing that. You can't let a very good side like Parramatta back into the game by giving away stupid penalties around the rucks, Ray.
Max, it was unfortunate for Manly that Parramatta were able to come up with that try just before half-time. That must have been a confidence booster for the Eels.
Well, that's exactly right. And in fact, that's what young Brett's made a couple of good runs at the moment. In fact, I think they could have scored on that extra run there.
Here's a grub kick through by Sterling, and it's been taken by Manly, and they tried to work it very quickly, and Bowstead is tackled 10 metres his side of halfway. Chris Close away from dummy half, taken by Edge and Hunt, and that's the halfway line you see. Brown, McCabe, Brown again. Gerard. Edge and Ella bringing him down. Played back to Brown. Brown turning it to Schubert. They're letting Ray Brown run, and that's dangerous. Now, this is the last tackle for Manly. Phil Blake is in position. Oh, gee, that could be... He's given the possession to Parramatta. I was about to say that could have been a penalty to Parramatta. There was just a little exchange of the ball between a couple of Manly players, and one of them, I believe, came in contact with it and could have been offside. But Kenny it is who's taken by McCabe, and the halftime siren about to sound. It's sounding now as Cronin gives it to Sharp, and Sharp puts the kick up, but that's going to go out on the full, and that's the end of the first half, with Manly going to the break to come out with the breeze in the second stanza, leading Parramatta by 11 points to 6. So both teams back on the field now for the second 40 minutes. One try apiece. A half that was certainly divided by 2. The first 20 minutes all Manly, but there was a feeling in the commentary box that Manly were looking a shade tired coming up to the break. And the kickoff has been taken by Gerard.
Yes, and with that, I'm pretty sure that Bobby Fulton will have the Manly side using that breeze and keeping play well downfield.
Well, that pass from Vaughton to Gerard looked forward from here.
There's no doubt in my mind that pass was forward, but there's also no doubt that this game is going to go with possession. In the first part of the first half, we saw Manly getting all the play when they had the ball. Second part of the first half, Parramatta had all the players, they got the ball, and that's the way this game's going to develop. The team that can control the ball, can win the scrums and the penalties, they'll get away with the match.
Brown, long ball out to Sigsworth, crosses the halfway, and then is taken in a jolting tackle from Bugden and Mears, but Bugden came out of it third best. It's with Sigsworth, and he takes the two forwards into him before giving it to Bowstead, who's tackled by his opposite number, Neil Hunt, and out to Alan Thompson. Now Phil Blake, and he goes for, well, I was going to say he went for a drop goal. It was a drop kick, but David Lydiard's made a complete and utter mess of it. In the in goal, it's going to be a line dropout to restart.
That would have been a 22-metre tap with Parramatta having possession, and because of a bad fumble there by Lydiard, it's now going to be a line dropout, and Manly with the opportunity to put tremendous pressure on in the first few minutes of this second half.
Well, it was an ambitious attempt by Phil Blake. He was about 47 metres out.
And I'm sure you were right in the first place. He was attempting a field goal.
So here's the dropout by Michael Cronin, but they're going to be immediately placed under pressure as Schubert takes it and is met by Mears, and also involved in the tackle was Sharp. And here goes McCabe now from dummy half. Bugden is there with Price and Edge.
You can see that Sterling's moved into that fullback position in defence, and he'll be the man to tidy up bombs, kicks and so on.
Here's Cleal taking it up very strongly to within about 6 metres of the line. Brown goes across the paddock and gets a long ball out. Rebo's knocked it behind him. Referee says play on.
Parramatta are giving Ray Brown a lot of latitude from dummy half, and he's going to need watching.
Here's Schubert now. Schubert shapes to pass and then decides to try and make the break, but he's held by Phelan and Sharp. It's played back to Philip Blake, who goes himself, gets the kick in, he'll score. He was held back. Let's see, it's a penalty to Manly. Phil Blake was held back off the ball.
If that ball hadn't hit the goal post, I think he would have scored.
Well, for mine, it's a line ball. In fact, whether this one should have been a penalty try.
Well, you must keep in mind that David Lydiard was still there, so Parramatta did have one line of defence remaining. It would have been probably a game decision by a referee to give a penalty try. However, there's no doubt that Blake was held back off the ball, and the penalty is warranted. But your suggestion of a penalty try, I doubt that.
He was deep in goal, David Lydiard, and at the time when he probably would have been able to pick that ball up, it would have been touch and go whether Lydiard had met him right on the try line.
No discussion on that one, or argument I should say, but the fact is it would have been a game referee to give a penalty try in those circumstances. He's got to be beyond any doubt that a try would have been scored. So Graham Eadie with this kick at goal. And another one right in front.
He hasn't had too many hard ones.
If they had been this close, you could have been a goal kicker yourself, Graham. 11-6 seems certain to be 13-6. And Eadie, no mistakes. Manly leading Parramatta 13 points to 6. There was the chip over the top by Blake. He was held by Stephen Sharp.
And that's where he should have picked the ball up, right on that line.
Yes, but then again, it still would have hit the upright and bounced back into the field of play. Max Krilich, what do you suppose Bobby Fulton would have said to the Eagles at half-time, or were you in the room yourself?
No, I was in the room, Ray. No one's allowed in the room at half-time. In fact, I was hoping that he would have G'd them up a little bit. They looked a bit tired in the last 5 minutes. In fact, a few of the boys walked off the field a lot later than the rest of the guys, and hopefully they've come back stronger. It'll be seen yet what happens, but I think we're on top of them at the moment. We've got to get the kicking game into action now. We've got to get the ball down in their 25-yard line, get the ball out of our area. It's semi-final football.
Max, I was just about to say that to you. Would you anticipate big kicking game from Manly?
Well, any sort of kicking game, like the one they've just done now, you've got to get it down there. Let them make the mistakes. You know, all the pressure's on now Peter Sterling to feed the ball properly, and hopefully he won't, and there'll be a penalty.
That last 10 or 15 minutes of this half, Max, is going to be the crucial period for Manly.
Exactly. That's where they're missing that week last week is the crunch. We've got to get some points on the board, and hopefully then the Parramatta won't be coming back at us as strong, which they probably will.
Cronin putting it down. Manly immediately trying to do something with it. And here's Eadie. He's beaten 3 of them, held on the Parramatta 32.
That was a very uncharacteristic mistake by Mick Cronin, but they're the sort of mistakes that Peter Falingos has spoken about in the past, that Parramatta, a great team that they are, have got a fairly high mistake rate.
Now it's Gerard. Brown over to Sigsworth, taken by Ella. Played just outside the Parramatta quarter as Brown again ducks out of that dummy half and spins it back across the ruck to Schubert. Schubert held by Edge, Cronin and Lydiard. Again with Brown, but now with Blake, and he'll run around Thompson, but Thompson dummies and spins it back up the centre to Sigsworth, who flick passes to Gerard, who turns it inside to McCabe. McCabe is on the 10-metre line in front of the Parramatta uprights. Played back now. It's with Brown. Now there's a penalty. Is he giving a penalty? No, he's ruling a knock-on. He's ruling a knock-on against Manly. I thought a Parramatta player might have got involved in that, played the ball. He was... There's Bugden. Now see Bugden, as he gets up, he had looked as though he sort of tried to stomp on the ball. And I said at the time there may be a penalty here for Bugden getting involved in the play the ball from an offside position. But the knock-on was ruled and the differential has gone to Parramatta. Cronin's shot for touch crosses the line about 17 metres out. Taken by Sterling, and Bugden is asked to take it ahead. He's just outside the 22. Manly adding 2 points to their first half tally and leading by 13-6 with Phelan to play it now. Edge to Sterling, Cronin. Cronin taken to ground by Noel Cleal. Here's Hunt now going into the centre of the ground, and this will be a penalty against McCabe. McCabe hung an arm out. McCabe hung out his right arm, and Roberts was on the spot to see it. Here it is again. You'll get a better sight of it here. And no doubts that Kevin Roberts saw it the same way as I did, with McCabe hanging an arm out and collecting Hunt firmly across the face. And there's the Parramatta winger receiving attention now. Interested spectator, rugby union great Mark Ella. Cronin's kick for line, finding it just into Manly's area. 13-6 then. As Sharp takes the tap and goes ahead. We seldom see that play from a Parramatta tap. It's out to Edge and now to Bugden, and here's what they've done. They've decided to put the move on the second play. It's Price getting around from the dummy half position, and he made a bit of ground there, Price. There's a little bit of free space to be made from dummy half, so it would seem.
Well, that's the area that I would have thought Manly would have been particularly tight in this game. There's no doubt that they'd be aware that Parramatta are good dummy half runners.
Now, Mayers threw a pass that Growth had to desperately go back for. It was completely an unnecessary ball for Mayers to throw. Here's Phelan working it back into the centre of the ruck area, and he ran into McCabe and Rebo, and that's 5 gone for Parramatta. As Sterling has given the ball, he doesn't kick, and it came from Price back to Sterling. It's on the ground, and Manly have possession. 13 points to 6 then in favour of the Manly side. Play by Rebo. Now to Blake. This is Vaughton. Now close. And he's taken by Sterling and Mears. Brown. Cleo, one of the Manly destroyers in the first half. Well taken by Schubert, who's tackled by Stephen Sharp. And now it's Edie. Hanging on around the legs is Edge. Over the top, Mears. Played back to Brown. Gets his pass to Blake. Blake puts in the kick, looking for Lyon. He's going to find it again. He's having a big game for a youngster who some said couldn't handle the big time. Make arena replay of the line kick from Philip Blake. 6-5, the scrums to Manly as Parramatta wins that scrum to bring it back to 6-6. And Ella is held just inside the 22. Price, Sterling, Cronin. Cronin picked up by Thompson and Vorden. Cronin lost the ball. He gathered it back in. Referee was checking his 5 at the time. Here's Sharp. Centre field on the 22 line. Phelan. And he's going to be asked to play the ball just inside the 32. Kenny giving it to Sterling. There didn't seem to be a great deal of urgency about what they were doing. The kick by Sterling, though, is a beautiful kick. Some tremendous line kicking from Blake and Sterling both on this occasion. The Parramatta number 7 finding it 30 metres out from the Manly line.
That's the side that most kicks are going to go, of course, because of the wind, and the two wingers on that side, Eric Groth and John Rebo, are going to have to be very alert and concentrate fully on the game in this half.
Thompson to work it. And it's collapsed, and it's been given to the Manly team as a scrum win. And Rebo goes from dummy half. Sterling hangs on. Price comes over the top with Gross. And Rebo it is who plays it back to Thompson. It's gone to Blake and out to Eadie. Eadie gets his pass around the corner. Now Sigsworth stood and got it to Schubert. Parramatta's at 6s and 7s as Bowstead tries to get away from Hunt, but Hunter's got him. Bowstead's throwing the pass. Ella went for the intercept. Schubert can't handle. He still lost the ball. And referee Roberts has gone way back into the game to play a knock-on. He was prepared to play the advantage, but then that opportunity went, and Roberts had to take it back to where the advantage rule exhausted. But Ella was within an ounce, or should I say within an inch of taking an intercept. The scrum is midway between 22 and halfway Manly's end of the field. Sterling's feed. Penalty to Parramatta. Now, what's he found in there?
He's got them. Brown not packing. He didn't put his head into the scrum.
Yes, he's indicated that you have to arch the back and have the upper half of the body at right angles, or horizontal to the ground, I should say. As Cronin takes the kick for line and finds it 30 metres out. And the tap is to be taken by Peter Sterling. A dummy to Bugden, Phelan and Mayers, and where is it? There it is, it's with Ray Price.
Both these teams have got some good players on their reserve bench, but particularly Parramatta with Stan Jerd, who was relegated out of the side this week, and one can only wonder when Jack Gibson will decide to throw him into this match.
We've been assured he will be used as Edge keeps up this wrap out to the right. Kenny works with Cronin, now Ella, and Ella is taken ball and all by Phil Sigsworth. Ella playing it 20 metres out as Kenny passes to Sharp, and Sharp takes Vorten's tackle, gets it back to Edge, and Edge is put down, and that would be 4 tackles gone for Parramatta. Kenny passes, finds Cronin, turns it back blindside for Sterling, flick passes to Groth. The big fellow's got through them. He's over Groth. Groth is over in the Paddington Hill corner. There's a nifty little flick pass here.
Once again, Groth leaves a wake of players.
Kenny it was, a dummy half, who gave it to Cronin, who switched the point of the attack to the blind side. There's a flick pass here from memory from P. Sterling Esquire. And Groth then slipped under Paul Vorten. Vorten said, where did he go? And then Groth got away from another. He cast a shoe, I think, he cast a shoe in running. And there's the pass back inside for Sterling.
Yes, and a great change of play from Cronin, and a great little flick pass from Sterling. And how dangerous is this man when he's got room to move? A great player.
There he is, Eric Groth, replacing the lost shoe, which was pulled off by Phil Blake in his vain attempt to stop the big fellow. Passes some of the leisure hours by strumming guitar and singing the occasional song. He certainly doesn't play rugby league like a man from that profession, does he? Here's Michael Cronin, 6 metres in from touch on the Manly 22. Cronin kicking into the teeth of the wind, and he's just missed it. Cronin just offline. Scoreline, Manly 13, Parramatta 10. Back for the restart with Schubert. Kick from Schubert is a deep one. Lydiard's got it spotted and covered. And he's called on Eric to take it out. Dummies to Kenny. And it's Growth tackled 6 metres inside the quarter. Edge taken by Paul McCabe, who made some blockbusting tackles in that first half. Cronin dummies, finds Sterling up the centre. Vorton's got him. Sharp's got the ball. Back up the centre for Phelan. Phelan looking for runners, and he's taken to ground by Gerard.
Quite a few gaps starting to appear up the middle of the Manly ruck. Bobby Fulton maybe thinking of making a couple of replacements.
Cronin cutting out Bugden, picked up on the half volley by Ella, and he's picked up and piled by Noel Cleal and Alan Thompson. Now it's Edge. This is Mears, and taken by Vorton. That's tackle number 5 for Parramatta. Watch for Sterling. Here he is, and there goes the kick from Sterling. It's a midfield bomb coming down to Eadie. Eadie now taken by Mears at edge, 10 metres on the Manly side of the halfway.
Well, that wasn't a good chase by Parramatta. The ball went high enough, but they didn't get through and put pressure on Eadie. But by the same token, he's a great fullback and he handles the bombs fairly well.
These Manly players, I'm just watching some of their forwards. They're not moving anywhere near as quickly as they were when this match was certainly all their way at 11 points nil. And
what one wonders about then is the benefit of the 1 week off. Parramatta, of course, have had that consistent football week after week. Manly have had the break, and they are starting to look tired.
Well, on top of that comment, Bill, if Manly were to win this match, and here's a chance as Lydiard links up on a very narrow blind, if Manly were to win this match, they'd go into the grand final with just this match under their belt, which is virtually one match in 4 weeks.
Right.
The ball being played by Neil Hunt, and this is Ray Price going to the open side, running into the willing workers of McCabe and Vorton. Mayor's a dummy half, talking to Peter Sterling, who is the man who calls the shots for the Parramatta side, one would imagine. Now Edge is into dummy half. Players on the Manly 22. A decoy blindside, Bugden up the centre. Gets it back to Mares. Sterling's with him. Kenny goes across the ground, wide for Cronin. Cronin comes to close, gives it to Lydiard. Lydiard back to Sterling. Sterling gets rid of Gerard. It's an arc-like run by Sterling. Now he gives it across to Chris Phelan. Phelan goes up the centre. Plenty of ball work. And Vorton makes the tackle. This is the last coming up for the Eels. Sterling passes, picks up Kenny. Kenny, he got the pass inside for Ella. Ella's put it down, and it's into touch, and it'll be a scrum just inside the Manly 22 line. Penalty to Manly. Feet across is the order from referee Kevin Roberts. Crowd figures 28,921. And when you think of that crowd that we're looking at, 28,921, they're talking about a cut-off of 42,000 for the grand final. Tell you what, it's going to be room for sardines only.
We'd already mentioned that some of the Manly forwards look tired, but when we look through their pack, we can see that Noel Cleal's normally a centre playing in the second row, and he wouldn't be all that used to forward work. Paul McCabe, normally a second row, playing in the front row. Ray Brown spent a lot of time out injured. Jeff Gerard's had a lot of time off injured this year, so they've got players playing in positions they're not accustomed to, and they've also got players who have missed time with injury, but I still think they've got enough left in them to win this match.
Well, let's see what Roberts rules here. Penalty to Manly. Penalty to Manly. It came off Growth, was picked up by Bugden. This was the attempted take by Eadie Close went for it, and then he's ruled it. Growth knocked it out of Close's hands, and it was picked up by Bugden. That's the way the referee has seen it. So a little bit of good fortune there for the Manly Eagles. And the tap to be taken 8 metres on Parramatta's side of the halfway. Out to Blake, and now Thompson. Thompson sends Close up the middle, and he's met there by Sharp and Ella and Sterling. Now Sigsworth. He's probed. Oh, Mayers took him in a jarring tackle. Gerard. Blake. Blake's deciding that it's about time he took off himself, and he's immediately harnessed by Sterling. And now it's Thompson infield for Cleal, and a ball going across the ground. McCabe getting down for it. Brought the winger in, and now it's Bowstead. Bowstead taken by Edge and Phelan, and Kerry Bowstead to play it only about 15 metres out from the line as Brown gives the pass to Gerard, and that's tackle number 5 now for Manly. The ball goes from Brown out to Blake, and Blake puts up the bomb. It's a good kick. Sterling's underneath it, and the little man's come down with it, Sterling.
What a great footballer he is, Peter Sterling.
Yeah, pound for pound, I don't think there's a better one going around in the world of rugby league. Here's Growth. I mean, at the current moment, Growth is tackled 20 metres out. Now it's with Sharp. Sterling is the dummy half. And now it's Phelan. Chris Phelan, he is a toiler. Hasn't got the ability to stand in tackles and offload, but he's always there and reliable. As Cronin makes a clean break to the halfway, infield for Lydiard, back to Ella, across to Paul Mayers. He did very well, the big fellow. Now Cronin flick passes and finds Ella. Ella's got a pass away for Sterling. Sterling floats it out for Growth. Growth is on the touchline, Paddington Hill corner, and he's pulled down 15 out.
And once again we saw the advantage there. If on occasions you do not kick the ball on the 6th tackle. Parramatta showed that they were prepared to run the ball on the 6th tackle, and they gained something like 80 metres in a passing rush.
Ball being played by Sigsworth, and now Gerard taken by Sharp and Cronin. Well, that was a magnificent attacking raid by Parramatta. And again we saw this big fellow Mayers able to strut it out with the much faster players. It's with McCabe now. Manly leading by 3 points, 13-10.
And looking particularly tired, and I'm sure that Bob Fulton will be looking to put replacements into this game as soon as he can.
Not just that, Bill, but it's their little men that have got to get more involved. This fella here, Phil Blake, continue to use the kick and also become involved in the play, maybe running from dummy half.
He's done it again, Blake, with a magnificent shot for line. The scrum will go down about 15 metres away from the Parramatta line. Last time we took a shot of Kenny Arthurson sitting alongside Bobby Fulton, he was smiling broadly. But things aren't looking quite as good now as they lead by 3 points. A penalty to Manly.
And I can see Stan Jurds come to the sideline. He's with Alf Richardson warming up, waiting for a message from coach Jack Gibson to go onto the field.
18 minutes to go. Edie finds the line 10 metres out. And Manly's going to put on a play, and it's with Chris Close, and
it's the wedge.
Manly doing a Parramatta on Parramatta as it comes out to Thompson. Thompson gets his pass away. They're pretty brittle over there, Parramatta, although Ray Price and Eric Growth are there, and Jeff Gerard threw his arms in the air and said, heavens above on the second tackle, we've put it into touch. So the scrum 5 metres away from the Parramatta line. And Sterling has the feed. In and out, won by the blue and golds, and it's with Sterling, and he tries to slide up the side of the scrum base, but he's picked up in cover by Schubert. And there's John Muggleton, who's also been told to go to the bench. with Stan Jerd. I would think, well, it's quite obvious that Jack Gibson. Here's Lydiard doing some nice work out wide. He passes infield, and Sigsworth is there to take the ball.
Tremendous play by Sigsworth then. A loose pass by the Parramatta side, but Sigsworth did excellently first to take the pass and secondly to stay in field.
Here's Graham Eadie going across the ground. If you're wondering why he didn't pass Graham, he virtually had nobody on his left. There was a stream of Manly players coming back to get onside. Here's McCabe, taken by Eric Groth.
And this is where the players such as Graham Hughes are mentioning before, the small players, the players such as Boosted on the wing, Blake, Thompson and so on, have got to get involved. They've got to take the share of work off these forwards, get in, hit the ball up, work from dummy half and so on.
Gerard is tackled just inside the 22. Gary Martini has also been sent to the sidelines. As Cleal, he'll score! Noel Cleal caps a fine game. Well, that was the big fellow, the former shearer from the country. He shaped as though he was going to kick, and then he just exploded. And how? David Lydiard tries in vain. But there's the big man, Noel Cleal, head on for you.
Yes, well, Lydiard was found very deep in goal waiting for the kick. He shaped the kick. I couldn't understand why Peter Sterling had run past him. He allowed him to go right through the gut.
I think that you'd find, Graham, that Sterling was out expecting the kick, and was it on the sixth tackle? Another variation on the sixth tackle. He was trying to put pressure on the kicker, and of course they didn't kick the ball. They simply ran it and came up with a try.
Jack Gibson first to press the button. He sent 16 Jerd and 17 Muggleton into the game. And Bugden and Phelan are to come from the field. Phelan and Bugden off, Jerd and Muggleton on.
Well, I think it's a good move by Gibson myself.
Graham Eadie with another easy kick. 11 metres out, almost in front. Eadie successful with the conversion attempt on the Maroon and Whites. Leading now by 19 points to 10. You'd be feeling a bit better now, Max Krilich?
I'm feeling wonderful, actually. Ray, I was just speaking that whoever scores the next try, I think, would win the match, and up comes big Noel Cleal. I think young Blakey's having a big part in the match with his long kicks, putting the pressure on then Peter Sterling to put the ball in fair and square, and Manly's getting the ball back from the scrum penalty. So it's I think young Blake's having a fabulous game out there in the pressure game.
So Gibson has sent a couple of game breakers, as he calls them, into the match, Max, Jerd and Muggleton.
Yes, I think Johnny Muggleton is the game breaker, not so much Stan Jerd. You know, Muggleton's got that flair where Stan's, you know, really just a blocker type man. He's not going to do the same sort of things that Muggleton can do.
What replacements do you think we could expect Manly to make, Max?
Well, actually, I knowing Bob, he mightn't do any. You know, actually, because if he thinks the defence is holding its line, he might leave it that way. And but then again, he might bring on a few, like Allen might be getting a little bit sore, and he might make some replacements.
Ball loose and taken by Lydiard, but I think he's rolled off it. No, yes, he has. And no penalty's been given. He's ruled against McCabe for stealing the ball.
Good play by Sterling, quick tap, and now they're moving the ball wide to the right.
Cronin even wider out to Steve Ella. Ella not held. He's looking for growth, but now he's been put into touch. And a scrum will go down on the far side of the field, just a couple of metres on Parramatta's side. Fed by Thompson, won by Manly, and it's with Rebo, taken by Ray Price. Now Schubert. Got his pass away well to Sigsworth. Sigsworth taken about 32 metres out from the Parramatta line. Eadie looks for Cleal, and here he comes again. An ominous sight coming down on you.
Oh, and it's on out wide to the left-hand side. Jeff Gerard's pegged it. He's calling the ball, and it's definitely on. Only 1-2 players on the other side of the goalpost for Parra.
Oh, big pass about 15 metres from Blake to Schubert, and then a pass inside to skipper Alan Thompson, and he's tackled 11 metres out from the Parramatta line as they keep up the wrap out left, and it's with Brown. Sigsworth, Eadie has put it down, and it's come up with Sterling in the in goal. And oh, that's dangerous passing in your own in goal. Lydiard has lost it, but the referee has ordered the line dropout to take place. Gary Martini has been sent into the game, and he is replacing Steve Sharp. Here was Sterling doing some light stepping in the in goal, and then he took a huge gamble passing in that area, and then Lydiard lost it, but the referee had ruled when he hit the ground that the ball had been forced, and the line dropout is now with Schubert for Manly.
Yes, and one danger of making so many replacements so quickly, they can also throw your team, your combination out, and let's see if it affects Parramatta in that way.
Bowstead.
Phil Blake's been having a good game for Manly, but this is just about the stages of the game where he likes to explode. The opposition starting to get tired, 10 minutes to go before full time, and keep your eye on him. He's liable to do anything.
Here's Brown giving it to Vaughton. Vaughton is met by Martini and Edge, and together with Jerd, they bring him down about 6 metres out from the Parramatta line. Out to Blake. He holds the pass up. It's on the ground, and Schubert has lost it again. Blake picks it up, and he's tackled by Mayers, but the referee is ordering a knock-on. Scrums against the feed. 2 to Parramatta, 1 to Manly. Parramatta's penalty this time, and he's got the Manly pack for turning the scrum off its mark. (12-8) the penalties to Parramatta. Time 11 minutes to go. 9 points the difference, 19 to 10 in favour of the Sea Eagles. Here's the Parramatta wall, and it's Sterling who's taken by McCabe.
We've seen Manly do that before too, from those sort of tap kicks. When they see the Parramatta wall set, they don't move up too quickly in defence.
Jerd. Now it's Kenny. Cronin cuts out Ella, gives it to Lydiard, infield for Growth, and Growth is tackled out wide by Thompson and Rebo. Now it's with Gary Martini. He dummies to Ella and decides to try and make the break himself. And this will be a penalty to Parramatta against McCabe. He had no marker, played it ahead, and then a player from an offside position grappled with him, and Parramatta coming up with the penalty. There it is there. See, Paul McCabe, number 11. And Cronin will kick for the showground side of the field. Converted try for Parramatta would put them into a situation where anything could still happen in this match. At the moment it's 19-10. Edge, Sterling running out to the wall, and then to Kenny. Kenny away from close, and he's over the halfway. Found Lydiard with a neat pass, and Lydiard is swamped there by Philip Blake.
We shouldn't lose sight of the fact, but even though the score is 19 to 10, it is 2 tries apiece, and only some simple kicks by fullback Eadie from Manly have made the difference.
Martini is tackled, not held. Bowstead has to secure the replacement Parramatta forward. It's now with Sterling, now Jerd. Jerd gets the pass back to Martini. Martini tackled just outside the Manly 22 line. Already blood coming from a gash on the forehead of Stan Jerd. He's only been in the match about 5 minutes. It's gone to Sterling, now to Cronin. Cronin taken by Schubert and Sigsworth. And this champion centre three-quarter, it took Sigsworth and Schubert all their strength to put him down. Mears goes from dummy half, takes them on, brushes off Schubert. then puts the head down and gains another 5 metres. And that's 5 tackles gone now for Parramatta. Sterling will bomb here. No, he's passed again to Cronin. On now to Martini. Out to Jerd. Jerd comes to McCabe, shrugs him off and has taken the tackle. That's the turnover.
And Brett Kenny was anything happy about the fact that he didn't get the ball. He really wanted the ball then. He was running into a hole but just couldn't get it.
Graham Eadie held by Sterling. So Parramatta have got to try and peg Manly down deep in their own half for 6 tackles. As Brown gets it back across the ruck to Cleal.
Phil Blake, I'm sure, will be looking to put this ball downfield straight away.
Thompson spinning it to Sigsworth, and Sigsworth is held by Price. Blake has called for it as Sigsworth gets to his feet. There it is to Blake now. His kick is between Growth and Lydiard. It's a deep kick going right down to the Parramatta try line. Lydiard coming up with it now.
The kick's a good one, and now what Manly have to do is contain Parramatta in their own quarter.
So Lydiard to play it. And it's out to Growth, the run around for Hunt, and Hunt heads off to the right. Now stands, gets out of a tackle, turns it back for Growth. Growth palms off one and is pulled down by McCabe and Vaughton.
And that's where Parramatta need Eric Growth right at this time. They need him close to the play. He's got to get involved and try and make that bust.
Martini now, just beyond the 32-metre line. Plays it back to Mayers, and Mayers goes up to Schubert, gets a short ball down to Sterling. Oh, Sterling's passed on the inside to Martini, and Ray Brown came up with it for Manly.
And the stretch is on again here to the left-hand side. Kerry Boosted's left this wing and gone across to fill in there as an extra man.
7 minutes of time remaining. Manly 19, Parramatta 10. Here's Rebo. Taken by Muggleton and Price. Played back to Schubert. Now to Gerard, the run around for Schubert. Held by Jerd. And Martini over the top. McCabe. Manly winning the reserve grade game today, so they've already got one team here on grand final day, and at the moment looking very much like their number ones will be there as well. Well, that bounce for Phil Blake has been quite unbelievable. The Parramatta players were prepared to let it bounce, thinking that it was going over the touchline. Watch Steve Ella, number 4. He looks up at it and decides to let it bounce. See that? And then all of a sudden, much to his dismay, it's landed in the field of play and gone into touch. Parramatta feed just outside the 22 line. Won by Manly against the feed, but the referee wants it again.
Would have been a miracle. Ray Brown didn't even have his head in the scrum.
Fed by Sterling. There's an arm in the scrum, but it's out to Parramatta. It's with Ella. Gone to Cronin. Ella comes to close and is wrestled to the ground. Cronin over to Kenny. Dummies to Lydiard, but Sigsworth has him parcelled up. Sterling. Short pass for Cronin, but Gerard was there ready to make the tackle. Sterling again. Now Mayers. And he takes it up strongly, but he's met just as strongly by Paul McCabe.
There's no doubt that what would be going through Coach Bob Fulton's mind is if he can possibly get through the game with these players, he may well try to do exactly that, because he knows that they're not going to have another game next week. They won't be playing again until the grand final in 2 weeks' time, and he wants these players to get all the match fitness he possibly can.
The pass by Blake out wide to Eadie, and Eadie plays it back to Noel Cleal, and he's going across the ground, caught by Neil Hunt. 4 minutes from full time, and Rebo brought down just outside the 22. Brown again, long pass out to Close, and Close is inside the quarter line, but Kenny it is who makes a grass cutting tackle. Back to Blake and the long ball, 15 metres to Thompson. Thompson stops at the 22, gives it back to Eadie. Eadie gets it onto Bowstead, but it's gone into touch and a scrum will form just inside the Parramatta 22 line. They've played it very much according to plan, Max Krilich, your boys.
Yes, exactly right, Ray. In fact, at the moment, though, I would be keeping it very tight. I wouldn't be passing those long balls out like that. I'd have the two wingers getting in the dummy half area and just taking the ball up the ruck, and on the last tackle, they're kicking it. There's no good, giving away these penalties as it is now from a scrum infringement.
Well, you've always been quite open as far as you're concerned. Winning is everything.
Well, that's right. We don't, as long as you're in front, we don't want to make mistakes now on the Manly side. You've got to capitalise on what you've got. There's no good giving them the ball back. And what I would be doing is just rallying from dummy half and then just putting the ball in the air or putting it downfield.
All right, so there's Max Krilich, who again will join us next Sunday for the final between Parramatta and Canterbury, so it would seem, short of a miracle that is. Michael Blake is strapping up. I don't know that he'll be required, however, with just 2.5 to go. Now it's Muggleton, taken by Gerard and Vorton. Played just into Manly's area. Sterling over to Price. Now to Kenny Cronin. Cronin holds it up and looks on the inside, but couldn't get it away. That's Price. Dane Ryan, the blonde-headed forward for Manly, going up. Now it's with Sterling. Back to the blind, to Lydiard. Lydiard safely held over there. David, of course, will be a nomination, I would think, for the Rookie of the Year at the Dally M presentations on Wednesday night. A live telecast in Sydney, 8:30 through till 10, as Eadie takes the bomb. And it's Eadie to play at about 5 metres inside the quarter. McCabe. Rebo. Play right on the Manly quarter line. And we're coming down, I would think, about 90 seconds to go. A man who's had a very big impact on the game, Noel Cleal. About to play it. Blake. And his kick has gone over the head of David Lydiard. Blake, of course, a player, as it goes over the dead ball line. Blake, a player that you're not quite sure whether to stand shallow or deep, with that fear of that chip kick over the top of the three quarters. I would think Canterbury Bankstown would be tickled pink to think that they are going to play Parramatta and not Manly. Here's a chance for Noel Cleal. He's missed it, taken an air swing, but still able to pick it up. Tackled 9 metres out.
And it's on out wide to the left-hand side. Parramatta would only have 2 or 3 players on that side of the goalposts. Manly have got a stack of players.
Brown, a long ball out to Gerard, and he's cut down about 12 metres out. Turned inside to Sigsworth. He puts up the kick, and Jerd and Sigsworth go for it. It's with Lydiard, and Lydiard gets around Phil Blake, but is put to ground. The siren, there it is, sounding in the background, and Manly has come up with a victory over Parramatta by 19 points to 10. Blake and Cleal the tries, Thompson a field goal, Eadie 5 goals, and for Parramatta their tries from Kenny and Growth, with Cronin successful with only 1 kick.